الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. It was regarding the importance of dua Kumayl, and we talked a little bit about who Kumayl ibn Ziyad is. One of the Ashab al-Sir of Amirulmomineen Ali alayhi salam. Ashab al-Sir means one of the companions in whom Amirulmomineen he confided. So there have been companions for the Imams, for the Prophets. Now some of them, they used to have confidence in them and they used to share secrets with them. Kumayl is one of them. And many a times you do find Ashab of Amirulmomineen, Ashab of Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam. They say that we have in excess of, for example, 40,000 ahadith that we know. All of them are confidential, top secrets. We are not allowed to further report to anyone. So that was between us and the Imam. Just like that, it was between Imam Ali alayhi salam and Kumayl ibn Ziyad. Kumayl from Yemen, and to him Amirulmomineen he reported Dua Kumayl. Dua Kumayl, it's the Dua Khizr, which was translated into Arabic by Amirulmomineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. One of the beautiful du'as. Now here, when Amirulmomineen is speaking to Kumayl, there is a lengthy conversation. I'd like to shed some light on some of the statements of Amirulmomineen. Generally, these statements are not recited, not reflected, not reported. So I'd like to mention some of the phrases of this beautiful wasiyah to Kumayl ibn Ziyad. Imam says to Kumayl, Ya Kumayl, al-barakatu fi malin man ata az-zakat wa wasa al-mu'mineen wa wasala al-aqrabeen. Says, if you want to know where barakat is, Imam says barakat is in the wealth from which zakat has been paid. And then barakat is in that wealth with which you help the mu'mineen. And then with that wealth, you perform silatul rahim and you come closer to your family members. So that is where barakat is given to the wealth of money of someone, which doesn't fall in the equations of this day and age, this time that we are living in, because no matter how much we try to explain these things, they don't fall in any of their equations nor their category, nor can they ever perceive that how can barakat be given to someone's wealth by spending it. Islam has equations like that. A person comes to Rasulullah and says, Ya Rasulullah, I am poor, help me, what shall I do? He says, give sadaqah. He says, I haven't got anything to give. He says, give sadaqah. Whatever you have, from that give little, and that barakat will be given to you. So Islam is like that. The teachings of the Ahlul Bayt are such that in spending you get the barakah. And then Imam further says to Kumayl, Ya Kumayl, zid qirabatak al-mu'min ala ma tu'ti siwah min al-mu'mineen wa kun bihim ar'afu wa alayhim a'taf. Says, from among your family members, those who are the mu'mineen, be closer to them, be nicer to them, be good to them, and the amount of honor and respect you would show to them be greater than the others. وَكُنْ بِهِمْ أَرْأَف. Be very kind to them, more kind to them than others. And likewise, وَتَصَدَّقْ عَلَى الْمَسَاكِينَ. You give sadaqah to those who are in need and the destitute. Ya Kumayl, La tarud sa'ilan. Now until now it's all emphasis on giving sadaqat in all these various forms. Now it's the month of sadaqah, this month of Sha'ban, and likewise it's another training that is given to us for the month of Ramadan, which is another month wherein sadaqat, they are given, they are taken, they are accepted, they are rewarded in very high prices. Ya Kumayl, la tarudda sa'ilan. Sa'il means someone in need, a beggar who has come to you. La tarud, you don't rebuke him, you don't send him away. Imam says, if someone comes to you and is in need and has asked you for something, walau min shatr habbati inabin, if you have just a piece of grape, one grape, says give it to him. Or for example, from a date, you have a slice of date you have, says give it to him. Don't return him empty-handed. Now many a times these people who are sent to us for help, they are sent by Allah in disguise to test us, to see how we retaliate with them, as to whether or not we help them. وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ. That Quran says that someone who comes to you and who is a sa'il, and is in need, never return him. One of the noblemen that we can mention over here is Marhum Karbala'i Kazim, Rahmatullahi alayh. Those of you who've been to Qom, you can find his grave in the Qabristan in No. Now this person, he was illiterate. He could not read, he could not write, nothing whatsoever. His desire was to read Quran, to recite Quran, to be able to recite Quran. But then the work, he was a farmer, and all that work he used to do, he got no time to learn Quran, but always had the desire to learn. It was the month of Ramadan, an alim comes to their town for the month. He teaches people about zakat, giving zakat, because all of them were farmers and none of them gave zakat nor khums. Now Marhum Karbala'i Kazim, he found that this is a rule and it's a hukm, a law, a command of Allah, and it isn't being honored and practiced in his village. Comes to his father, because his father, he was living with his father, being provided by the father in the same farm. Says, Father, do you pay zakat? He says, you've been listening to these Maulanas who come and give these talks, you don't need to. He says, do you or do you not? He found out the father doesn't pay any zakat, nor any khums. Says, I can't live with you. This is all usurped and unlawful. And living in this premises, in this place where zakat and khums is not given, is not allowed. He says, either you pay or I leave. They don't want to pay. None of them from that village paid. And he says, okay, I can't stay here and ruin my life. He is in his early 20s. So leaves his family there, and then he moves to another place working for a halal living. There his family from this village, they say, okay, you come back, return, we'll work it out. And then he comes back to his father, his parents, they say that, okay, we'll give you your share. You do whatever you want with this land, with this money, and then stay with us in this village. He says, all right. So he takes the land, the money. The first thing he does is pays the zakat and the khums from that land, from the crops, from whatever he had. Now zakat also, it's either 2.5% or 5%, depending on how the land is irrigated. If it's irrigated by rainwater naturally, then the zakat is more. And if it is irrigated by your hard work, then the zakat is half. Now the zakat was 2.5%, 5%, but now Karbala'i Kazim, just to be sure that he has done his duty correctly, he pays 50% of whatever was the zakat on him from the land, and khums also he paid much more to purify whatever he has. And he starts his living. To his astonishment and to everyone living in the village, they saw the produce and the barakat given to this land and to the grains and wheat of Karbala-i-Kazim was far more than that was given to them. Now in those days they didn't have, it wasn't mechanized, so when the wheat was husked, they used to come and stand in that hot sun and then husk the wheat so that the skin of the wheat is removed and the wheat remains so that it is ground to make flour. He says, I was working on a hot day. Now generally they wait for some wind to be there. If the wind is there, it's easier for them to husk, because those dry skins, they get blown away when they throw them to the sky and to fall back. Says it was a hot day. And now the beauty of Karbala-i-Kazim was that he gave particular importance to prayers. And he used to offer Salat Ja'far Tayyar every day. So in that farm, under that sun, in that blazing heat, he used to stand and offer this Salat Ja'far Tayyar. Says he was husking the wheat. One of those needy people in the village, he comes and says, Karbala, don't forget me, I'm also in need. If you could deliver some, keep some wheat for me aside. He says, yeah, certainly, I will not forget you. I will prepare a bag and get it delivered to you. It wasn't windy, but he said, because someone has come to me and has sought for help, I'll stay back in the farm and I'll make a bag of wheat for him. So he stood there in that heat, in that sun, sweating, husking some wheat for that person who was in need. He made that bag and got it delivered to his house, and on his way there is an Imam Zada who is buried in near that village. He says, I'll pay a visit to the Imam Zada. I'm tired also, have a little rest there, say my prayers, and then go home. Brings the bag of wheat and he leaves his animals outside the haram of the Imam Zada, goes inside and returns, and now he's getting ready to go home with this husked wheat for that person in need. Two young men come to him and they say that, Karbala, let's go and recite a ziyarat for the Imam Zada. He says, I've done it. I've just came back. I paid a visit. He says, doesn't matter. Let's go again. He says, I never saw these two young men ever before in this village. Very handsome Sayyid, and the attire of Sadat also was there on them, with the green hanak around them. So I found out they were Sadat. He said, okay, now the Sadat, they are requesting me and I don't want to dishonor their word. I'll go with them to the Imam Zada and pay a visit there. He says, I came inside and they held me and they said, Karbala, recite what is written in that dome. There were ayat written inside the dome. He says, I can't read. I'm illiterate, I cannot. One of them held me and said, recite what is written in that dome. He says, I quickly started reciting the ayat that in the 6 days Allah, He created the skies and the earth. All of those ayat were recited, and I see that I could read Arabic, I could read everything. And then I see that everything is just going round and round around me, and I fainted, I passed out, and in the morning when I woke up, it was about the time of Fajr, and he said, where are these men? I didn't find them there. But then I saw that the entire Quran has been bestowed upon me. Allah has downloaded the entire Quran to me, who was illiterate, who cannot read, and all the sciences, ulum of Quran also were given to me. Now sometimes these men in disguise that come to us, they are angels who are sent by Allah to test us. Now also Ali, his pure niyat, his intentions were such, the purity of his, that he wanted to learn Quran, that was given to him. Now it such happens that This this Karbala'i Kazim who could not read Quran becomes the best of the people of his time, and sought fame in the Arab world, and people from Egypt, they used to come to him, invite him. And then Marhum Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi, one of the Maraji Taqleed who passed away in 1998, he says that I had a 1-month meeting with him, with Karbala'i Kazim. Every day we used to sit for 2 hours. I used to recite Quran, the ones that we have here, the printed version. I used to recite 1 juz for Karbala'i Kazim, for him to tally word by word to the Quran that has been given to him by Allah. And then he used to recite the Quran that was given to him, and I used to tally on this printed version. Says after that 1 month of tallying both the Qurans of his with ours with him, we found out that it's exactly the same. No change in no word, in no harf, never whatsoever. So that's the word of Allah where He says, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikr wa inna lahu lahafidhun. We have revealed this reminder, this book, and we will protect it. Imam Khomeini also saw him, Ayatollah Makarim Shirazi, one of the living Maraji Taqleed today. He says that we were young at the time, and when we used to see Karbala'i Kazim, we used to put these Hausa books in front of him. Now these books are in Arabic, and we used to say, Karbala'i Kazim, can you read that? He used to say that from this book, only that is Quran, this is Quran. From this page, only this part is Quran, the rest is not Quran. When inquired, how do you know that? He says, the ayat of Quran, they glow before me. And he used to recite 1 entire Quran every day from the Quran that was given to him. From that Quran he used to recite. So, as a result of that purity, the sincerity of an individual, and also not sending back someone who was in need, who has come to you for help, Allah, He gives and compensates in such beautiful ways. It's not always money, it's not always any help. Anyone needs help. If you can help him out. If someone wants a question to be answered, or some kind of a spiritual help also, then the doors should be open. We don't know what is behind the scenes, who is going to be what, and what is going to be given to us. Then Imam says to Kumayl that La tarudda sa'ilan, someone in need who has come to you, don't return him. Give him at least a grape if you have, or a piece or a slice of a date. فَإِنَّ الصَّدَقَةَ تَنْمُو عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. Here's the punch point. Imam says sadaqah, it grows before Allah. So that little sadaqah you've given, it's not little anymore. It's magnified, it's huge, and Allah also pays back, not for that little, pays back for that huge that has been magnified before the Almighty Allah. So that Allah, He is Kareem when it comes to giving. Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam also, who are the reflections of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, they are also the same. Now, rebuking or sending back people who have come to you, that is being ungrateful to Allah. Not helping someone is being ungrateful. And then a hadith says, Asra'u zunub uqubatan kufranun ni'mah. Says that what gets punished fast and rapid on a rush track, it's being ungrateful. Kufranun ni'mah. That is, kufranun ni'mah means being ungrateful to the blessings of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. That could be anything, any blessing in the material form, or the greatest of blessings, it is the imams, the imamats. If someone is, God forbid, ungrateful to the imams, to the ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ, that on the day of judgment you will be inquired and questioned about the blessings, the na'im. Na'im are the imams alayhimus salam. Quran has many ayat. One of them you must have heard quite a lot. The Almighty says, ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا قَرْيَةً كَانَتْ آمِنَةً مُطْمَئِنَّةً يأتيها رزقها رغدا من كل مكان فكفرت بأنعم الله فأذاقها الله لباس الجوع والخوف بما كانوا يصنعون. That remember, Allah sends a parable, and that is a land, a place that was safe with all the blessings bestowed upon them, rizq and sustenance left and right being given to them a lot and in abundance, such that in Tafasir they say that when they wanted fruit from these farms and from their lands, they just used to take those baskets on their heads and walk in the middle of that farm and the orchards, and all those fruit they used to fill in the baskets and used to get filled. That much of a produce and abundance it was. يأتيها رغدا من كل مكان, and also from every part of the land they used to get this rizq and sustenance. فكفرت بأنعم الله, they were ungrateful to the blessings of Allah. Allah also punished them with hunger, بما كانوا يصنعون, for what they had done, and that is being ungrateful to the Almighty Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Prophet Yunus, he wanted to cross the river. He sat in the boat, and then the boatman, he said, where's the money, the ticket money? Prophet Yunus says that I don't have money now. Instead, you can take this bread that is with me. Take this bread. He took the bread and he said, give me money, and flipped it, threw it in the river. Prophet Yunus says to Allah that teach them to be grateful to this bread which has its own respect, its own honor. And they were punished such that they were so much in need of bread that they spent everything just to get a piece of bread, which also wasn't possible for them. Hadith says from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma barik lana fil khubz, Allah make this bread mubarak, wa la tufarriq baynana wa baynahu, and do not distance between us and the bread. فلولا الخبز ما صمنا ولا صلينا ولا أدينا فرائض ربنا. If this bread wasn't there, we wouldn't have offered our prayers, we wouldn't have observed the fasts, and none of the wajibat that we are performing today would have been performed. So bread is that important. Respect to that bread is also that important. So from here we find how to get barakat in our lives. So basis of that barakah is being grateful to Allah, and then basis of barakah is to be being away from being ungrateful. And one of the ways of how to increase and enhance this barakah, it's to not return someone who is in need, who has come to you for help. Now all of this a lesson to myself first. Now one of the other things that invites barakah in our life, it is the recitation of salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. That is saying Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, and a lot. One day, now this is a hadith, a honeybee comes to Rasulullah and says, Ya Rasulullah, I have produced a lot of very high quality honey for you and your Ahlul Bayts. Send someone to my hive by that mountain so that you benefit from, you and your Ahlul Bayt, your family, they benefit from this beautiful honey that I have produced. Now, honey, it's that beautiful produce and rizq of Allah that never contaminates. For hundreds of years it can remain, it doesn't decompose, it doesn't expire, it remains. Honey, that is the beauty. Quran also says, Fihi shifa'un linnas, there is cure in that honey. Now here Rasulullah speaks to the honeybee here. Now this speech, the communication with the honeybee, It's for us to know. Now, it doesn't mean that Rasulullah, he did not have the knowledge. He has the knowledge. He has all the knowledge. Allah has given it to him. Now, he speaks to the honeybee so that that message and that conversation between the Prophet and the honeybee is delivered to us. Says to the honeybee that you fly around all of these trees and flowers. You sit on all of these different flowers and fruit. There is nectar, and all of that is bitter in taste. And then how do you do it? How do you make all those bitter collections of you and then make them into one standard sweet produce? The honeybee in reply says, we collect all of that bitter stuff, Ya Rasulullah, and we recite a salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, which makes it sweet. So even that honeybee has got that ma'rifah, that is, by the recitation of that salawat, the bitter nectar, the bitter pollen, the bitter liquids that they collect, they are transformed into something sweet. So if we want darkness to change to light, negative to change to positive, if we want bitterness that we have in our lives to change to sweet, evil to good, with tawajjuh, if we recite salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, which has amazing barakat. If an opportunity is given, we'll talk on this zikr of salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, that it has such beautiful effect. Now, one of the beauty that we have in being grateful to the blessings of Allah, and what Amirulmomineen also emphasized to Kumayl, is that we have to learn to be thankful to Allah, thankful to the blessings that are given to us. In one of the riwayat that we have, it's a night of worship, night of dua, says that لَقَدْ قَامَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ عَشْرَ سِنِينَ عَلَى أَطْرَافِ أَصَابِعِهِ, that Rasulullah, he stood in worship for 10 years on his feet. All night he used to occupy in worship. And then his feet, they used to swell. They got swollen. قَدَمَاهُ وَاسْفَرَّ وَجْهُ. And also his color, it went pale as a result of sleeplessness and keeping up awake at night and in worship and on his feet. And then the ayah was revealed that طَهَا مَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنَ لِتَشْقَى. That is, we don't want you to put yourself into so much of pain and tashqa, ya Taha, O Prophet. Or, for example, other ayat were revealed, إِنَّا فَتَحْنَا لَكَ فَتْحًا مُبِينًا لِيَغْفِرَ لَكَ اللَّهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ وَيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكَ. Now, all of these ayat were revealed. Now, all of this worship that we see in Rasulullah, in the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, it isn't as such that there has been a flaw, God forbid, or worship. It is not always to make up for the sins or the shortfall in worship that we have had in the duty. Now we see countless blessings, and in thanks and gratitude, he stood in worship. He says that should I not be a grateful servant of God? أَفَلَا أَكُونُ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا. Must I not be a thankful servant of God? So that was the Prophet, and how he used to be grateful and thankful to Allah for all the blessings that have been bestowed upon him. Even when you look into the tafsir of Surah Ad-Dahr, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا, that when those three were sent, one day Miskin was sent to Amirulmomineen Hazrat Fatima. The next day a prisoner of war was sent, and the third day also an yatim was sent. Then later it was the angels that were sent by Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala sent. So behind the scenes, what is cooking, we don't know. Being optimistic that whosoever comes to us, if it is within our ability, we should not send back anyone, return anyone, help whatsoever you can to the best of your ability. And then he says, Ya Kumayl, ahsan hilyat al-mu'min. Kumayl, the best beauty of a mu'min is to be humble before that mu'min. Hilyat al-mu'min min al-tawadhu wa jamaluhu al-ta'affuf. His adornment is to be chaste. And his greatness is in learning religion and honor, in avoiding unnecessary arguments. So a mu'min is someone who carries these beautiful traits, Amirulmomineen says. And further continues, Ya Kumayl fi kulli sinfi qawmin arfa'u min qawmin fa iyyaka wa munadharatul khasis. Says in every group of people, Kumayl, there are some who are higher and some who are lower. Imam says those who are lower, never argue with them, with those who are low. If they hurt you, you also handle them with care. And don't be among those that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala has mentioned in Quran, وَوَسَفَهُمُ اللَّهِ إِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا, that you come across people who are ignorant and jahil. With them, you don't argue with them. You don't get along any conversations and arguments. You just say, وَقَالُوا سَلَامًا, and you walk away. Says, Ya Kumayl, قُلِ الْحَقِّ, always speak haqq. Ala kulli halin, no matter what circumstances be. Now Kumayl ibn Ziyad is someone who was killed for speaking haqq. And now ala kulli hal. And then says, وَوَادِلْ مُتَّقِينَ وَهْجُرِ الْفَاسِقِينَ, love the God-wary, the muttaqeen. Keep away from the fasiqeen, the sinners, the wrongdoers. And then says, وَجَانِبِ الْمُنَافِقِينَ, from the hypocrites be miles apart. وَلَا تُصَاحِبْ الْخَائِنِينَ, and those who are cheaters, never be with them. And then says, Ya Kumayl, لَا تَتْرُقْ أَبْوَابَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Says Kumayl, never knock on the doors of these oppressors. That even if you are in need, never go to them, never knock at their house. Help cannot be sought from someone who is an oppressor, a zalim. أبواب الظالمين للاختلاط بهم, or if you just want to go and sit and have a nice chat, says don't. وإلا معهم, so if you do that, you'll be also one of them. وإياك أن تعظمهم, and also Kumayl, never exalt them, never praise them, never make them look big. وإن تشهد في مجالسهم بما يسخط الله عليك, says that if you are seen in their majalis and in their majlis, the wrath of Allah will be upon you. وَإِنِ اضْطُرِرْتَ إِلَىٰ حُضُورِهِمْ فَدَاوِمْ ذِكْرَ اللَّهِ وَالتَّوَكُّلَ عَلَيْهِ. Says if you were bound to being in their majlis for some reason, that you had no choice but that you had to be with them, says throughout that sitting, that meeting of yours with that zalim, you seek the forgiveness of Allah and you continuously say, A'udhu billah minash shaitanir rajim. Rely upon Allah that you are safe from his evil, from the evil of that zalim in whose presence you were bound to be. First of all, you should not be there, but maybe a situation does emerge that you have to be with him. So in that case, constantly throughout that meeting, that sitting, isti'adha, that is, A'udhu billah minash shaitanir rajim, be uttered. Says always be away from them. And within your heart also, you shouldn't like them. That disassociation with that zalim should be within your heart as well. فَإِنَّكَ بِهَا تُؤَيِّدُ وَتَكْفِي شَرَّهُمْ. Imam then continues and says that, Ya Kumayl, la ba'sa an ta'lam akhaka sirrak. Says that, Kumayl, confide in your brothers. Share your secrets with them. Then Imam says, but which brother? Can you share your secrets with anyone, with any brother? Says he does not. Says who is the brother? He who does not leave you when you are stranded, when you are in need, when you are in pain. He is by you. In financial losses, he is by your side. And then he says that if you ask him, he does not cheat you. He does not leave you alone, assuming that you have no problem. He is with you, by you, and He will stand by you. He will never leave you stranded. And He sorts out your problems as if it's His own problems, says that is the brother. Then Imam says, Ya Kumayl, al-mu'min mir'atul mu'min. A mu'min, he is the mirror of another mu'min. لأنه يتأمله says he is a mirror. He sees the beauty of that mu'min in that mirror. And Ya Kumayl al-mu'minun ikhwatun. Mu'mineen, they are brothers. ولا شيء آثر عند كل أخ من أخيه. There is nothing better and more effective before him than this beloved brother who is a fellow mu'min. So all of these beautiful statements of Amirulmomineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. Then Imam says, Ya Kumayl, لا تكونن من الذين قال الله نسوا الله نسيهم أنفسهم. Says that don't be among those who say, who as Allah has said, that Allah has forgotten them. Now why does Allah forget someone? The reason for that forgetfulness, it's fisq that does emerge in on and off in someone. Fisq means disobedience, the sins, the wrong that is done. So if it is something that was done and then people they repent, they will be forgiven. But then if you continue with that sin and that wrong, that fisq also strengthens, as a result of which Allah also forgets. When someone totally forgets Allah, Allah also forgets. Just like we have Uzkuruni azkurkum, you remember me, I will remember you. Ud'uni astajib lakum, you call upon me, I will respond to your prayers. Just like that, you forget me, I forget you. So in this ayah he says that those who forget me, he will forget him. Now, one of those who has been forgotten is Iblis. The reason for being coming to that rank is because he disobeyed and was adamant in his disobedience, stood against God. Rasulullah, he ascends to the Mi'raj in one of his trips. When he returns, now this is said for the 7th of Ramadan al-Mubarak, that he had a Mi'raj on the 7th of Ramadan al-Mubarak. And the next day when Rasulullah had returned from Mi'raj, Iblis comes to Rasulullah. He says, Ya Rasulullah, you were in the skies yesterday? He says, yes. Says, on the 4th sky towards the left, by Baytul Ma'mur, there is a burnt mimbar, haunted mimbar. Did you notice? That was mine, he says. I sat and preached with swarms of angels listening to me, and they used to listen to me, all of these angels. And then when the tasbih that I had in my hands, it used to fell from the mimbar, they used to come kiss and respect and give it back to me. It says, don't get carried away in that pride with that status God has given you. If someone has been blessed with a rank by Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, we shouldn't be caught into it. It's something that is with us. It can be taken away, seized away anytime. So pride is the worst of sins that drives us away from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And here Amirulmomineen says, be humble, that tawadu be observed by you, especially before the brothers, before the mu'mineen. Now, in the hell also, a pulpit of fire will be made for Iblis, and will speak to his followers, that why do you blame me? What wrong did I do? I only invited you. You are to be blamed because you followed me. You did wrong. When did I hold your hand and take you to perform sins? I just invited, you accepted the invite and you came after me. I never asked you to commit a sin. Sin is yours. Even there, this Iblis is going to turn back, and then and the blame is going to be ours. So this is important, that we have to look into all of these issues, be thankful and grateful to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, especially this pride. Now when we look into the surahs of Surah Al-Kahf, for example, there In Surah Al-Kahf, quite a few things have been mentioned. One of the incidents that has been mentioned, it's the story of Prophet Musa and Prophet Khizr alayhim as-salam. Now, in the Torah was revealed to Prophet Musa. 30 days he was on Mount Tur, which got extended by another 10 days, 40 days, and then this Torah was revealed. Now, Torah, when it was revealed to Prophet Musa says, it seems that I am important, that Allah revealed this book to me and to no one else. That very moment, Allah sends Jibreel to Prophet Musa. Says, Adrik abdi Musa qabla an yahlik. Says Jibreel, right now, immediately get to Musa. Go down before he ruins himself. Because if that thing that had triggered stems and then leads to pride, then everything else will be ruined. And there this whole situation between Musa and Khizr was introduced to Prophet Musa, and there he found out, no, there is someone else who knows more, who has sciences that I do not. That is how that pride has to be pushed away at all times, and that is that one of the disasters that can hit anyone in any status, any rank, any position, especially when it comes to mosques and mihrabs and mimbars and anything religious. There you've got these attacks quite severe, and because it's the place where people are guided, and Iblis doesn't want that to happen. So in such places we find more of this stuff there. So there are people also who have to be selected and chosen for such tasks. The criteria is the criteria that has been mentioned in Quran. Quran says that the custodians or the trustees or the members, or whatever title you give to the custodians of a masjid, of a center, says in awliya'uhu illa al-muttaqun. Now when people, they wanted to choose the custodians for the Kaaba, guidelines given by the Almighty is in awliya'uhu illa al-muttaqun. The awliya, the trustees, the custodians must be muttaqi. Muttaqi means God-wary, means that they should be abiding by the deen first of all. Their usul-ud-din should be strong enough. Their belief in the one God, His justice, His risalat, and then imamat, and the belief in the Day of Judgment, that is first. And plus, they should be someone who should be abiding by all the wajibat and putting away all the harams. So all of them should be adil. So that is what the criteria Allah has mentioned in awliya'uhu illa al-muttaqun, that the custodians, the trustees, the awliya of a place of worship, of a center, must be adil, must be muttaqi. So one of the disasters that could come and hit anyone, especially the noble, the religious, there it is this pride that is from Iblis, la'natullah alayh. Now when we see the seerah of the prophets, for example, Prophet Ayyub alayhi salam, he is a reflection of patience, and inna wajadnahu sabiran ni'mal abd innahu awwab. Allah speaks so loud about Prophet Ayyub that he is one of our servants, innahu awwab. Now on an occasion, his wealth was taken away, his livestock was gone, the cattle that he had, the sheep, all of them perished. He had wonderful sons. The roof, it fell, and all of his sons, they died. On another occasion, the children, they died. He says that, God, I will be patient. I was patient. He fell ill, he was paralyzed. He says, God, I'm patient and I'm thankful to you. People started talking about him. Look at him, he claims to be the prophet, and these are the problems he's going through. So it seems that he is fake, or he may not be right with his claim. So people, they started taunting him, mocking him, tarnishing him, defaming him, his character. He says, I was patient, I was patient, I was patient all the time. And then the incident comes up with his wife, and then when she went and she sold her hair. Now here he says, God, I've been patient all this time, but this one, it's a little bit demanding and it's tough for me to accept. Here Allah says, Ayyub, what do you say? Were you there all the time? It was me who was giving you the opportunity to be patient. Patience was from me. In all those situations, it was from me. Then how come you say over here it's from me? I can't handle this. Says all of those patience that were given to you, that you were sabir in all of those different difficult situations, all of them, the help was rendered from us. So we have to look into these things, that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He gives these opportunities. He gives the tawfiqat. Now if we put all the good that we have done, to all of it together, all the good that is done in this creation, and then we compare to the good, a small good of Amirulmomineen, we cannot compare. The entire creation, all the good they have done, compared to a tiny little good of Amirulmomineen, it cannot be a match. It cannot be. Now, we have to look into things with a different perspective and then be grateful and thankful to Allah for all the blessings that He has bestowed upon us. And Ilahi Ridan bi Ridak, as Amirulmomineen says, as Abu Abdullah has said, that everything is you. Kibriya is yours. Greatness belongs to you. Allahumma ahl al-kibriya wal azama. This kibriya, this greatness belongs to you. We can't say that all of this kibriya is yours. A little bit, give it to me. No, nothing is mine. All of it is He. Allahumma ahl al-kibriya wal azama. That everything, all that greatness belongs to Him. Azamat belongs to Him. Pride belongs to Him. In Dua Joshan Kabir says, well, kibriya rida'o. This kibriya, it's your cloak, it's your attire. Now just to bear in mind that on the night of the first of Ramadan al-Mubarak, it is mustahab to recite Dua Joshan Kabir. So try to do that on the night of the first. And Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says that someone who recites Dua Joshan Kabir on the night of the first will be blessed to perceive Laylatul Qadr. So the programs you would have for the night of the first, organize it such that you have this Dua Joshan Kabir recited, and it is a mustahab of Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam. When we abide by the teachings and sayings of Ma'asumeen, it has its own barakah. And inshallah, may Allah help us all in being obedient to Him. And inshallah, if an opportunity is given, we will continue with this talk, which is beautiful, the wasiyah of Amirulmomineen to his Ashab al-Sir, to his companion who he confided in, Kumayl ibn Ziyad. Ya Allah, by Amirulmomineen and this night of dua, help us all, accept us all in your service between us, Quran, and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, never ever come across a moment of separation. May that be here or in the hereafter. Ya Allah, all those who have requested for du'as, their du'as and hajat be granted. All those who are ill and ailing, Allah they be blessed with shifa and cure. May Allah hasten in the return of our Imam, count us all among the best of His servants, Islam and Muslimeen worldwide. Be blessed with honor, with height, with might, and kufr and shirk and nifaq be removed from the surface of this dunya, inshaAllah. وسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.